want to introduce Rithika, who's my partner and has helped me build our company at Hive. And she's implemented a lot of different types of agentic solutions, specifically on call center, customer support. I know a lot of you have sales organizations or have to deal with a large number of customers. So Rithika, the floor is yours to first give some context about what was like the use case, what are the tools, and how you went through the whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. We were looking for a tool that had voice enablement, wasn't sounding robotic, and was sounding organic enough that customers would actually pay attention and not, keep logging off, right? So we tested a plethora of tools. We were looking at Simple Talk, we're looking at Callers AI, we were looking at OpenAI's APIs that have a few very natural sounding voices. And we have a bunch of different voice agents that we've built with a few of these tools that we tested at the same time before we kind of landed on one. So today I'm going to show you one called Callers.ai. This is their website. You can go to callers.ai. You can do a bunch of different things with this tool. You can set it up to where it's your personal receptionist and it's answering calls, taking down information, and then maybe shooting you an email about it. You can have it be your receptionist at a doctor's office, or if you're a lending portfolio and you need a couple hundred agents, you can do that as well. It's fairly scalable. They're getting better with sales. I will admit they're not the best at the sales aspect just yet, but it's great for gathering information and performing tasks. It can also kind of call a few leads, gauge their interest, and set up a few appointments. We've seen and tested that use case out on the insurance side as well. So essentially what it looks like once you've logged in is you have the ability to generate a few knowledge bases. So within the knowledge base, you can add in any sort of data source that you'd like. So if you have a training manual, you can just drag and drop that in there. If you have your company website, you can put that in here. You can kind of go in and even put in your own text if you want to just start typing out saying, I want this tone, I want this level of patience, I want the agent to sound a specific way. You can do any number of those things. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to call in to our agent. And so you can hear a little bit of what it sounds like. And just before I start calling, just for context, what we basically have here is an agent that picks up the phone call for one of the lenders that we service. And it is getting an inbound call, and I'm going to ask it a question about my application. And it's essentially something that it'll avoid sending to an agent or, essentially, as we call it, human in the loop, or potentially a manager that might be able to help me further if it's something that it cannot do itself. So I'm going to go ahead and call.
Hi, this is Jen from Floor Credit. How can I help you?
Hey, Jen, I'm calling about my loan application.
Hi there. I'm here to help. Just to get started, do you recall when you applied for your loan?
I think I applied 2 days ago.
Thanks for that. Have you either uploaded your bank statements or linked your bank account during the application process?
Yes, I think on the second day I got an email, so I went ahead and uploaded my bank statements. I think it also asked me for additional details, though I don't know if I left anything outstanding.
Got it. Just to confirm, have you also submitted a photo of your driver's license along with a selfie holding the ID?
Yes, I did.
Thanks for confirming that. When did you submit those documents?
I submitted them yesterday.
Thanks. Your application is still within our 2 to 3 business day review window, so it's currently being processed. You'll receive an update shortly. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, I think I'm okay. I'll look for your email.
Sounds good. If you need anything else later, feel free to reach out. Goodbye and take care.
Bye, Jen. There you go. So how it does that is it goes through a series of, decision trees, and it understands what I'm trying to say. It can ping and look up my information based on what sort of knowledge base I've attached to it. But what I can do with Callers AI is go back in and tweak it. So I can say I had a good call. However, I want it to be more patient. I want it to ask additional information. Maybe there's additional verification questions that you'd like to ask. So you can go ahead and, essentially make the experience whatever you'd want your customer to get. You can also tell the agent, are you expected to do outbound campaigns? Are you expected to do inbound campaigns? You can give it instructions for that specific campaign as well. Link a few different phone numbers with it, adjust its patience level. how fast or slow you wanted to talk, if you wanted to take your time. In some cases, we even add in that they should take a few seconds before responding, because systems can be very quick. It can very quickly check your database and say, here's your status. But we've noticed that customers don't like the super quick approach. They want to feel like the person at the end of the phone call is taking their time and actually going and checking stuff. So we've actually built in some latency on purpose to make it seem more organic. The benefit here is, if I were training a brand new call center representative and I tell them never say this and always say this, they may be prone to forgetting, but these agents don't. So if I give it a list of never talk about lawsuits, legal, never talk about guaranteeing outcomes, it'll follow that guidance to a T. So it actually was easier to manage the compliance aspect, because if you use a knowledge base, if you essentially use a RAG, the agent is less prone to hallucination. So it's not going to make up its own information. It's going to stick to the script, so to speak. The cool thing about Callers.ai and the other tools like Simple Talk and Lindy, most often than not, you'll have a human representative at their end that you can reach out to and say, hey, I need to figure out how to do XYZ, and they'll get on a call with you and they'll walk you through exactly how to do it. But the time, if I really want to launch an agent today, if I start now, I could probably have an agent up and running within the next hour. These agents are really good with what information you feed them. If I did the same exact phone call with half the information that I put in the knowledge base, it would be horrible. So the first step of what you're saying is really iteration. But with higher end clients, what I would say is this: anytime that the agent is kind of going in a loop, you have to tell it that if you're about to repeat an answer, go ahead and send it to a human, so that the person at the end of the line, if it's a high ticket client, if it's somebody that's really, really important, or someone who's about to pay you, a high ticket value aspect or whatever, you can basically program it to say, go ahead and send it to a manager at that point, so that the customer has a good experience. Where that is for us is if a customer calls in wanting to make a payment. This very, very rarely happens, but let's say they're wanting to use a payment method that I didn't factor in. Now they want to pay me $2,000 on that phone call. If I lose that time, I may not be able to get that customer back on the line to convert later. So the AI agent is basically going to say, I don't know what payment method, or I don't know that payment method specifically, but my manager can help you out. Give me 2 seconds, I'm going to go grab them for you. So that the customer feels like they're getting even more importance and they're getting a manager on the line and they feel better. But negotiation, error handling is really good. So it's rapidly picking up the pace of what it can and can't do, and it's improving very, very quickly. There's 2 pricing structures. One is per minute. So a lot of the, Twilio-backed companies of the world, Twilio is a telephony provider, they want to charge by the minute. And that would be like maybe 1 or 2 cents per minute. You can also have some companies that say per agent. So each agent that you have, it's $150 a month. Simple Talk uses that model. Callers.ai also has a 2-prong pricing model. You could do it per interaction. So if you're a smaller business and you don't anticipate having a lot of phone calls, then you could do the per interaction model, and ends up being like $1.50 per interaction or so. But as your volume goes up, all of these prices start going down. And I'll show you our live account. It's called Balto. So this is Balto right now. These are all the people that are actively on calls. This is from a call center in India, hence the names. There's a few actions here, right? I can listen in. I can stop the listening in. I can also barge in if I wanted to. If someone has a faulty headset, it's actually telling me that there's a few audio issues. So now I can listen in and see if it's on the customer end or if it's on our end. But if I go into Discover, here's a log of all of the previous ones that have some dispositions here, and I can go back and listen into those. Everything has a score associated with it. But the coolest part is going to be this. So it's going to comb through all the calls and give me reasons for why people actually call in. So this is for one of the portfolios that we service. It's a lending portfolio. And so some of the reasons could be they're calling about their loan application, they're calling about making a payment, could be any number of those things. But what it's doing is it's combing through the entire list of calls in the last 60 days, and it's going to give me specific instances and trends that it's identifying. We also use this tool for coaching. So we can sit down with a specific agent and we can say, hey, you're doing a really good job here and you're not, you need to improve in this other area. And this is objective feedback. So, they're sitting down with a manager reviewing their actual calls. I think that with people who are sales reps specifically, they could be very prideful in their technique. So if you really want to get them to switch their approach and change how they're handling specific customers, it's nice to have a tool that kind of looks at every one of their calls, identifies a pattern. Maybe they're rushing through a specific aspect. I'll show you another training tool in a second, but here's what Balto just came up with the frequencies, right? So 26% of the time, people are calling in because they're asking about loan applications. And I can actually click here and see the evidence. It's going to refer me back to specific calls. And it's going to pull instances. I can go back, view the call. I can expand the summary. I could go back and listen to the call if I wanted to. So it makes it really, really simple because now I have an AI-driven summary. I can leave the agent a private note. So the next time they log in, they're going to see that the manager looked through that call and we went from there. But let me go to Pitch Monster and I can show you an instance of how we can create specific scenarios for training. So this is a sample account and we've got a few sample calls here. So this is brand new agents that are coming online and they're essentially going to be doing role playing in specific scenarios to figure out if they're ready to hit the phone calls speaking to real people. So rather than having them practice with a human, we're actually creating video and audio role plays for them to go through and their scores are supposed to improve. So this guy went through and did a role play. Here's a transcript. The person he's speaking to is a bot. So no customers were harmed in this making. So you've got some scores here for how he did in the intro. He did great in the verification. Looks like he just followed the script. It has a customer, feeling that they've been heard. Probably not. So let me show you where the comments and the trackers are. It's basically saying, you said, I just want to let you know that this call is being recorded. Why don't you change it to say instead, just a heads up, Robert, this call is recorded for quality. Now, how can I help you fix your bank account, right? It's giving that agent training in terms of like, here's what you could say instead. Here's what you could add in just to make the customer feel a little bit more comfortable. And here's your AI coach. And it's giving him information on, here's how I would change your intro. Here's how I would approach the verification. Here's other areas that I could change, like for your security. It's giving script related changes. It basically goes through just like a human would and give you a full analysis on, what you're doing. So actually, let me see if I can even get you a cold call role play. So these are all different scenarios. If I go into edit role play here, you can see what I've done. I've named it. I've given it a type of role play. I said I want this to be a phone conversation. I could easily have said this is a face-to-face or even a screen share conversation. I could even have it be flashcards as opposed to, an actual AI speaking to the customer. I've given it very basic user guidelines. This is for selling a lead on the insurance side, right? They have a lead that comes in. They're trying to sell that lead. Here's an example call, so a perfect call of what that could look like. I can even add in additional calls. So a role play could have 20, 30, 40 calls, save it. And the next time the agent logs in, they have a bunch of different role plays that they could practice. And it'll give them a grading sheet, rubric, feedback, all the above.
We had talked before about Recall AI. It's a fun little tool that I use every single day of the week where you can download it on your phone. If you've got a million different YouTube videos or your favorite podcasts and all these things and you're like, I don't have time to read all this stuff, you can dump this into Recall AI. I think it's much more effective of a tool versus Notebook LM, which is really focused more on studying and education. I think there are some features that Notebook LM from Google, which is free, does have an advantage over Recall. So say, for instance, you've got an article on, say, your industry, and you put it into Get Recall. Say there's 100 articles, and you've put it into Get Recall, where you can chat with all the articles and all the content that's been created. It'll analyze it, and it'll just talk to you just like a regular LLM. There is one thing that, let me see if I can pull it up here really quickly. This is actually a video about Figure AI, which has created a autonomous AI robot that can do laundry and do your dishes and do a lot of other fun stuff. So this just got launched last week. If you're bored, check out and follow Figure AI. But what you can do is you can literally log in, just copy the link for the YouTube video, put it into Recall, and it'll do the summary of the entire video. I won't go through it again just because we did do it before. All right, what's next? Comet Browser. I'm really excited about this news. Last week, Perplexity announced that Comet Browser is now free. I will put the link in the chat. Comet is built on Chrome. It is just like a Chrome browser, nothing new. But what it can do is mind-blowing in my opinion in terms of browsing. So I'm going to give you a couple examples here. So one thing that I do is I read the newspaper. I actually have the physical newspaper just outside. I actually try to read that every day as well. But if you're not reading the physical newspaper and you happen to have online, there's so many different articles, and typically what you end up doing is just reading what's on the front page. So I pulled up Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, and Bloomberg here. And as you can tell, there's a million different articles, complete waste of time. I don't have time to read all this content. But you want to know what's going on in the world relative to the stuff that is relevant to you. With Comet Browser, you can literally have the tabs. It'll actually even open up tabs and query against it to create a new workflow for yourself. So let's just say I'm on wallstreetjournal.com and let's see, show me interesting articles about the private credit industry page. Let me see if it's going to do it right here. One of the things that I do is on a daily basis, it automatically runs in the background, takes all of the articles of all the different news sources that I'm using, and it summarizes all my content. So instead of saying I've got all these newspapers and I've got this information and it's all irrelevant because I don't have enough time, what you can use now with Comet Browser is it'll actually control the screen. So initially I was wondering, like, what is actually the use case of this? You know, it sounds like a really interesting tool, but it seems like a waste of time. I can't really figure out what's the value of it. One of the things that you can do is search all the different tabs that are open. It'll actually go one by one and it'll create a list of the articles. So I have my Financial Times up. I wanted to learn about private credit because I own a private credit fund. It put all the different articles and it put a link to each one. It went through Bloomberg, did the exact same thing, and it went through Wall Street Journal and did the exact same thing. There are other things that you can use it for that I didn't even think about, but the more that you use these tools, you keep on coming up with ideas. I think everybody on this call has experienced this where you're like, I've logged into an application and I don't really know how to use it. That's like, I don't know, once in probably a week, I use a new application and I'm not exactly sure how to use that application. One of the things that we're going to learn about is called Parallel.ai. So Parallel.ai is a research tool. And this is the first time I'm telling you about it. First thing you might be saying is like, well, one, I don't have the time to figure out how this new tool works. I can't figure it out. Well, now what you can do is if you click this assistant here, I don't know how to use this tool. It's about doing deep research. Show me how to do a search about new AI topics coming up as a walkthrough of the tool. So what's cool about the tool is not only is it scanning exactly what's on your browser, it's also going to do research on the back end about whatever it is you're looking at. So for example, if you're looking at some new tool and like Parallel.ai, it's going to go do research about Parallel.ai, figure out all the documentation, the how-to guides, the step-by-step, and actually go through the process for you. So it says in the left rail, click deep research. So this is a manual step-by-step. We'll just say, I am lazy, do the work for me. I was just being a little funny there. But it will actually take over the process. Let's see if it'll do it for us. See how it goes blue right here? This means that the browser has been taken over by the AI assistant. You can always pause it or you can stop it. And it's going to actually follow step-by-step instructions that we just told it to do. See that? It literally copied and pasted it in there. I didn't do anything. And it's going to find where the buttons are, how to use the actual application. And it clicked start research and it's running it by itself. I mean, if you've ever been frustrated like me using any tool online, this is the perfect solution for you, which is probably every single person on this call. What is also coming out is full agentic operating systems. It's not fully out in the marketplace yet, but I've seen some of the demos of some of these new agentic operating systems. What does that mean? So instead of just taking control over your browser, the tool will take control over your entire computer. And it will literally click all the buttons and do all the work that you would normally do. Now, is there risk that's related to it? Absolutely. If you've got a lot of confidential information, if you've got a lot of things that could cause problems on your operating system, yes, it could cause problems, but you can see I have never used this tool and it literally did step by step, came up with a plan, did all the instructions, and it's following each one of those instructions. All right, Lindy. Now, I'm not saying Lindy is the end-all be-all. I wanted to show you guys a tool that I thought was the easiest just to play with the tool so you can get quick, easy access and try it out. So Lindy.ai they have its own ability to do customer support as well using telephony. They have they're probably the best in terms of pre-built tools. So if you want to have an assistant, there's all these different tools they've already pre-created for you. So if you're like, I just want to have my meeting notes processed, sent to email or sent to my Slack channel or Microsoft Teams channel, it can do that for you. This is an example. So it connects to several hundred different tools that are out there, whether it's Gmail, your Outlook, LinkedIn, to a lot of different players. And it's really good at making it simple, stupid to create a workflow. One, like I said, you could either select your own workflow, pick one and click add and it'll generate it for you, or you can create your own. So what I've done here is I've created a sample one. So what I did is I connected it to my Gmail. Took just a couple seconds to be able to add an account and set it up. What I said is go down the path if the email is asking a question about myself and if it's not spam or ad or news, okay? All you're doing is you're writing the logic in natural language. You know, back in the day, you can do that. You can create additional conditions, but the whole goal is that you can do this in an automated way using natural language. And I am in testing mode for Microsoft Copilot Studio, which does have a very similar feature. Let me see if I can pull it up here. It's called Agent Flows. Mm-hmm. You can create AI agents within here, but it does make my life a lot easier if they're going to use AI agents within the company. And it's called Copilot Studio, and you can register for it right now. You need to go to copilotstudio.microsoft.com. You create your own AI agents, and a very similar tool, just like Lindy, you can actually vibe code your agent flow. So I could say, I want to check my emails for potential sales. Okay, that's not really a great workflow that I can create, but what it's going to do is it'll allow you to actually, look, when a new email arrives from Outlook, convert it to text and see if that person is a potential investor. I mean, that took like 5 seconds. The same way, Lindy has this capability. The reason why I like Lindy is its integrations are much more comprehensive, but it's a much easier interface. I was able to create this entire workflow in a matter of like 2 to 3 minutes. So the speed at which you can implement Lindy, if you're not in a large organization that requires all the security, Lindy can get you from zero to using it live today in a matter of minutes. Versus I've already tried a few times on Copilot Studio, so I'm still learning how to do it. So I want to make it easy for everybody as you're going through these classes that even I would say that it's super easy to use. So that's why I'm recommending Lindy. Are there other solutions? Absolutely. Here are the big players whenever it comes to workflow automation if you've got a tech organization. N8N has a open source application that your tech team can implement internally on their servers. And it costs you $0. And it does all the workflow automation things that I just showed you before. However, it requires a pretty sophisticated team. It is designed for a technical enterprise team to get implemented. But once you've got it, similar kind of approach, you can create step-by-step workflows, connect it to different AI agent models, and it's a much better, more sophisticated software application. Another player is Zapier. You may have heard of Zapier before. They're really big on connecting APIs. So if you have one application over here and you want to connect it to another application, they are the best player as far as the most comprehensive. So for example, all right, step one, check my calendar for meetings. Step two, pull the email address of the people who are going to the meeting. Step three, go to LinkedIn, search for the person's email address, copy their profile, create a comprehensive prep document about that person, create a new calendar invite for the same meeting and day, enter all the prep meetings for that calendar invite. This is a workflow I think everybody on this call should create for themselves. Why? When you're going to a meeting and you haven't met with a person before, you can literally click on your calendar like I do. It'll pop up and it has a description of the person that you're going to meet with. Background, all their LinkedIn information, whatever it is that you use to do some research. Right now, I actually have a person that's helping me with this process, but what we're going to do is actually we're going to create a workflow to do this step by step. The same way you can do it and create a new workflow on Copilot Studio. Microsoft owns LinkedIn, so it should be a little bit easier to do it on there. And you can do the exact same workflow on Lindy. So all these tools kind of do the same thing. Some do it better than the other. So each one of these tools are trying to make it easier and easier where you can literally create step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it should be able to generate this entire process. So the tools are getting better. And like I said, I think Lindy is probably the easiest to use out of all of that to generate all these things. Say yes, that is correct. And then it'll go ahead and it'll create the actual workflow. So it's going to literally build out step by step every single one of these components. And again, I just did this on the fly and probably it'll take a little bit longer, but probably in the next 20 minutes, I'd be able to fill in all the information, connect my LinkedIn account, connect my Outlook account, connect my calendar, and then boom, it's ready to go.